congratulations on your project here.
Thank you.
Talk about the challenges of making an animation about the story of Jesus.
I mean, where to start? Fortunately, we have this episode in season 1 where we have these two little kids who run into Jesus in their play space. And we were shocked to hear from parents and grandparents that their kids were pressing play on an episode of The Chosen, which is something we never really imagined. We just imagined that that episode would be a great opportunity for Jesus effectively to tell the camera what he was teaching, that he was teaching something new. We show his humanity and his love for kids. And, it started a conversation between Daryl and Dallas and myself about kids programming and what did we feel like was missing from our experience. There were mysteries that church gave us when we were kids we didn't know how to handle. We sometimes felt like we weren't good enough for the messages we were getting. And they also, sometimes they made us laugh, because they were doing a thing to our nervous system, these big ideas, these huge events. And so we needed a release, and it's always been The Chosen's intention to tell this story infused with some humor. So it was natural in that way to move on to animation, but none of us had ever had any experience doing animation. So we relied on our producer of The Chosen, Chris June, who has an extensive history in animation, and he made introductions to people like Sam Mishlap, our production designer, and Real Effects and Brazen Entertainment, who are located here in Dallas and have outposts in California and in Montreal. So it was a learning process for all of us. In getting those first scripts together, we had to teach a group of writers what the Chosen culture was, what our universe rules were, and then we had to sort of create the show that had its own identity, that used humor in a different rhythm, and how we would portray events from The Chosen proper, which are also part of this universe, and have them tie into moments along the way so we could sort of ground ourselves. And of course we had the live action cast who are reprising many of their roles, but they get to do it in a kind of a heightened reality. So Jesus, Jonathan Rumy's Jesus character, gets to explore that character in a little different way. The stakes aren't quite so high. He gets to tell some punchlines. I think everybody's had a lot of fun with it, and yeah, it's just grown from there.
And did you test screen this with kids, and what were their reactions?
The test screenings have been incredibly humbling for me, to hear back from families and kids, from parents alike who are enjoying the shows, who relate as we hoped they would. Early results are really promising. We can never, of course, predict exactly how an audience is going to catch on. We certainly didn't predict how the audience was going to catch on with The Chosen. We just thought, well, we're using the greatest book ever written, and nobody will ever see this, so let's just go for it. And so that's the same spirit we bring to the script 7 years later, as we're portraying these huge events in The Chosen. So same thing with the animated show. We just wanted to tell the story with honesty, relatability, and as much humor as we could pack in.
And did you consult also your kids or your nephews or nieces about this?
We did. All of my writers are either parents or uncles or have stepkids, and so we were all drawing on kids that we know for our heroes, our 9-year-old heroes. But we were also concerned with how do we tell the message in a way that's not going to scare kids, that we get the right messages across. So we did consult with child learning experts and pastors alike.
Thank you very much. Congratulations on your work, and more power to you.
Thank you, Janet. Appreciate it.